Dudes to Dads, brought to you by Dad University, is a podcast to help men understand and navigate the transition of being a single dude into a family man. How do we make sense of it all? Well, we probably won't be able to, but let's go ahead and have some fun trying. And we are back.
We are back.
I'm Jason Kreidman.
I'm Alan Bush.
And this is Dudes to Dads, episode 172. Alan, how are you?
Great.
You are?
Yeah, for the sake of the show,
With the water in your hand?
I got a water in my hand, a cool glass of H2O.
Don't get that spilled on the computer.
Yeah, no, you haven't told me twice. I'm the one I'm monitoring all this equipment.
That's it's as always, recording late as we always do because we have many things going on in life.
9 to 5.
Lots of 9 to 10, or I would say about 8 to 6:30s.
Yeah, exactly.
Or actually 7:30 to 6:30.
The podcast is not yet paying the bills, but you could solve that by going to iTunes and Stitcher and leaving some reviews.
Or they could just send us money.
Yeah, well, we'll start with the easy one first.
We don't have that ability. We don't even have a donate button. I'm not taking anybody's money from that.
This might be something we should add.
This is saving me in therapy costs.
Exactly, that's true.
So I'm kind of, in a sense, I am making money. So today's episode is 9 things you should never say to a child.
Okay.
It shall be interesting. In fact, I think a lot of people are going to be a little upset at the end of this podcast.
All right.
But think of it as an intervention or a new beginning.
Okay.
Some of the things are very, very common that we say all the time, but unfortunately, I'm going to tell you that they are doing more harm than they are doing good. Okay. And you can argue all you want. It's my opinion. I have the podcast.
Yes.
I get to say it. Isn't that great?
Yeah. Hey.
No, you can
write
you can argue.
Podcast at dudesdads.com. Just write us an email. Shoot us your opinions.
Or keep following us and share it, and you can comment.
Be mad, but stay with us.
Yeah, no, not mad, but just feedback. It's feedback. It's
constructive criticism.
So here are 9 things you should never say to your child. Right. The first one, I'm so proud of you.
Huh.
So here's where I'm going with this. We often will say this to our children. And the problem with it is that it has the child then looking for somebody else for the approval. Okay. So a parent will often say, well, I really want my child to know that I am proud of them.
Yeah.
Okay. So what that word, meaning, that proud or whatever, though, is that then the child is not thinking about themselves and their own intrinsic feeling about the situation and feeling good about themselves. They're feeling the approval from someone else.
Right.
So if you were my child and you did something, let's say you won some award, whatever. I would say, instead of saying, I'm so proud of you.
You'll be really totally stoic.
Yes.
Great.
No. Instead of saying I'm so proud of you, I would say you should be really proud of yourself.
Gotcha. So turn it on to them.
It's them. They're the ones who did it. They're the ones who accomplished it. Yeah. Now, that alone, though, they will feel great about it because they did it, not because you said they did it.
Right.
Now, that's it's really hard for parents to not say that because they think that that's more beneficial, and it's not.
Right.
Telling your child how proud you are of them does not help. It actually hinders the child's. Now, it may help short term, but what's going to happen is if you continue to do that, the child will look for that affirmation when they're doing something. They want to always, quote, make you proud.
Right.
And so it actually pains me when I see people, like it's on TV, like you'll see someone competing for something, like on a show, whether it's a, singing competition or whatever, and they go, I just want to make my parents proud. That is horrible to me.
Okay.
Because that's then how a child feels. The child feels that they have to do something well in order to receive the love or receive the proud, whatever the word is,
pride
from their parents.
Yeah.
I asked my children this and I said, hey, do you feel that I'm proud of you? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. I've never said it. I don't say this. I don't say never. I'm sure before I learned it, I probably said it when, but even so, it's not a word it's not a phrase that comes out of my mouth.
Right.
Always, you should be so proud of yourself. You did it, whatever. But yet they feel that I'm proud of them. Mm-hmm. They feel it because I act a certain way or because I say that. So stop saying it.
Okay.
I don't want them to go to look for someone else. So here's another one. Number 2, what not to say. You are bad. Instead, you've made a bad choice.
Yeah.
Or your behavior right now is not acceptable.
Yeah. I've learned that even with relationships and friendships, even I try to avoid calling names or saying they're bad because you
don't want them to think they're a bad person.
No, because it's not that they're bad. It's just like you said, literally in this scenario, I'm not a big fan of it. Right.
You made a bad decision.
Made a bad decision at that stage.
Right.
So
you are not a bad person.
Yeah.
You made a bad decision.
Right.
So that's the thing. We don't want them to hear we don't want them to hear that out of your mouth saying that you are a bad person.
Sure.
And that's how they will take it.
Right.
And that's not right. That's hard to overcome that. So stop saying it and just instead say you made a bad choice or your behavior right now is not acceptable. Number 3, what not to say or don't say, stop crying.
Yeah. I can't stand when I hear parents say that to their kids.
So instead, you can say, I can see you are really upset. Why are you crying? Mm-hmm. Okay. You don't want to negate their emotions. Allow them to have their emotion and be empathetic towards them. Mm-hmm. Okay. You might not agree. You might not even like what they're crying for. You might not think it's something, they shouldn't be crying. It doesn't matter.
It should not be followed with, that's dumb.
Yeah. You shouldn't be crying for that. It's like spilled milk, If you need some help with empathy, listen to some of our other podcasts and watch some videos.
I don't know if this is on the list, but I've heard this. Stop before I give you something to cry about. Is that on there?
It's close.
It's close to there.
Yeah.
Oh, that bugs me to no end. I'm like, fear is the way you're going to rule these kids.
Yeah. So stop crying is not something which you'll hear on the sports, in sports all the time.
Yeah.
Really, that'll come from a parent feeling embarrassed or something.
Yeah. And it's usually like when they're
it's their own problem.
Right.
Number 4, what not to say. We can't afford that. Mm-hmm. So instead, we had our friend Scott on. We choose not to spend our money on that.
Right.
That was the suggestion there.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So you don't want to be coming from a place of scarcity all the time. Instead, we want to teach them that we make choices about how we spend our money.
Yeah. I think that was in Rich Dad, Poor Dad. There's a book called that.
Yeah.
I think, I'm not sure if that's exactly what they said, but similar sentiment.
Being living in scarcity is not going to help you in any way.
Right.
And that's often what, a kid will say, hey, I want this. And we say, no, we can't afford that. Well, that's, if all of a sudden your refrigerator goes out, you can't really afford that either, but you can't afford it not to. And so you make the decision that that's a really important purchase that you need right now because you need to have the food in there. So it really is about the decision.
Yeah.
And let's focus on that. And so we choose not to spend our money on that is a better phrase.
Right.
Number 5, what not to say. Why can't you be more like your brother? Or sister.
Or whatever, relative, whoever. Yeah.
Instead, you can say, this is one example, but there's many, but I really appreciate the way you treat other people. Mm-hmm. Or, I saw what you did over there and you were really nice. It's basically you pick out something positive that they do and reinforce that. Mm-hmm. And so what's going to happen is we know from previous discussions that positive reinforcement is tremendously stronger than negative.
Yes.
So you never want to compare them to siblings or other people. Okay. So that's the case. Just say, I really whatever. Pick out something that they do really well. Stop saying, why can't you be more? Your brother doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Or your sister didn't, do that.
Yeah.
Not a good thing to say. Number 6, don't say, you're okay. That happens all the time, too.
Jeez.
Yeah, no, like here's an example, is the kid falls off his bike or her falls off her bike and they're not bleeding.
Yeah.
And you'll hear, oh, there's no blood. You're okay.
Right.
Well, actually, they're not okay. They're hurt.
Yeah.
But we think that by saying you're okay, it's going to help them or it's going to make them feel better.
Yeah.
So I asked the question to you, Alan. If you are really upset about something and someone said, or you got hurt, that's probably even better, like physically hurt.
Yeah.
And someone says, oh, dude, don't worry about it. You're good. You're okay. Does that make you feel any better?
Not at all.
No. So it's not going to make a 5-year-old feel any better either.
Right.
They don't, oh, dad just said that I'm okay, so I'm okay.
Yeah.
Instead, you can say, hey, that looked like it really hurt you. What can I do? Or can I get some ice? Or, something like that. Or you could say, where does it hurt?
Yeah.
You could say something else. You don't have to just tell them that it's okay.
Yeah.
It's not going to help.
I always get, like you said, ice, or no matter how small the cut is or small the bump was, I'd be like, oh, let's get some ice, put some water on it. And then, I think it'll be okay.
Or even ask. Because you you don't want to even, sometimes you don't want to go straight to the, oh gosh, it's a big issue.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, well, where exactly does it hurt? Yeah. I used to say that happened, especially when they were really little. I would say, did you get scared or did it hurt? Mm-hmm. And they would often say, I was just really scared because they may have fallen or something and they were just really scared about the situation.
Yep.
It wasn't that they actually got pain.
Right.
So that can happen too.
Yeah.
Okay. So that one, you're okay. Number 7, what not to say. Great job. That was a comment. I heard that I hear that all the time.
Okay.
Now, that is very similar to the other one of saying, I'm so proud of you.
Sure.
You are giving the praise. Mm-hmm. So instead of great job, it's you worked really hard on this. Mm-hmm. You should be proud of yourself.
Yeah, you can circle back to that. I don't know. The great job thing, it's kind of like, well, where is that?
But you're complimenting.
Right. But that's fine.
But they're looking, it's external.
Yeah.
So the whole point is, well, there's a couple points. One is we want the child, to know that we think positively about what just happened.
Right.
For our own comfort. Like we think that that's good for them to know that we feel good about what they just did or they accomplished it. And that is not a good thing.
Yeah.
Because even if they did an accomplishment, we should feel good about them.
Sure.
And that's what I'm saying. So there's a nuance there of, instead of them coming to us and saying, oh, did my dad think that I did a good job? Mm-hmm. Once again, the child is thinking, I just did this myself. I did a good job.
Sure.
So they're not getting that praise from somebody externally.
Right.
And then what happens is then, you can see it everywhere. People require praise. Look in the workforce.
Yeah.
How much do they require of people complimenting them? Oh, it feels so great, or you have to, they'd rather get compliments than a raise.
Right.
All of that is an accumulation of those kinds of things. I'm not saying it's exact cause and effect.
No, for sure.
But this idea that we can make them feel that from inside for themselves is much more powerful for them. It's much more beneficial. Hey, you're going to say a great job once in a while because it feels good for you to say it. Hey, you're going to say it. But I'm saying in general, it is better to allow the child to feel that they are the ones who did it. It's like when they're getting on a report card. Yeah. Instead of saying, oh my gosh, that's an awesome report card, it's, wow, you must have worked hard for that. Or, how do you feel about it?
Right.
And the child will go, I feel great. Okay, then you feel great. Because guess what? If you got a D, I would still love you.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, because my love is not conditional.
Right.
I don't care. Hey, would it have been a little better if you got the better grade? Well,
right.
Sure. But that's for yourself.
Right.
It's not for me.
Right.
Your grades are not for me.
Right.
So that's where it's like, it's hard sometimes for people to.
No, it's a very kind of extreme shift in thought when you're saying that you don't want to say great job, to your kid, because it's like, to anybody really. But I can see where you're coming from, and again, I don't know, does the child have the ability to discern that anyway? I mean, if you said great job, is he really going to think, well, I need that constant praise from dad? Or
no, but then you're saying it for yourself.
But he also feels good about himself and herself. So they're like, that just reaffirms what I thought about myself. Is that this person's saying it?
No, I mean, I don't know.
That's what I'm wondering. That's the nuances that kids understand.
We get so much external positive and negative anyways.
For sure.
It's like, good job. You climbed to the top of the. I'm thinking about small children, especially.
Sure,
but even doing it with older kids, or even a spouse. Like, hey, hon, you must have you really worked hard for that.
Yeah.
And that makes them feel good inside. They don't need you to tell them that. That's what I'm saying, is after a while of that building up, and then when the child is, from very small age, here's the parent, here's the friends, here's all the things, giving that positive reinforcement. What do you think, like celebrities that are in their own bubble,
right,
with their huge ego, because everybody's saying how amazing they are.
Sure.
And saying, oh, you're so amazing, whatever. And so they begin to think it, but they keep on wanting the praise.
Right.
Like it's an addiction.
Yeah,
almost.
it is.
Like
you
need it. And oh my gosh, I need, I need the social media clicks.
Right.
And the views.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
It's like it's an external source that's providing the dopamine.
Yeah. Sure, for sure. So rather than being,
and that can dry up.
It can, and then everyone's going to reward you the same way that your parents will, in that context. So you need to understand that you have to be proud of yourself for doing what it is that you accomplished. Right. Intrinsic.
Hey, I welcome the controversy. Let's get all over. I'll be all over it. It's just, and people will argue it because it feels good to them, but it doesn't help.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. And you're right. I think a lot of what we do as adults is egocentrism.
Right.
Really.
And for proof, that's what I said. I asked my kids, and I said, like, do you feel good about this? Or do you think that I feel good about that? Or something, and am I proud of you? That's what I asked before.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, absolutely.
Right.
But like, if my child is at their tournament and they do really well, it's okay if they did bad too. Like it doesn't matter then, because I'm not doing that how they perform is totally up to them.
Right.
So now he or she might feel horrible about their performance, but that's their thing. And I'm not going to say, I may try to console them in some way if they're feeling really bad, and I might say, hey, well, how did you feel about that? And they'll say, well, I felt really crappy about it. All right, well, what could you do? What could you have done differently?
Right.
And it's just, they're not depending on me for that.
Right.
The emotion I'm not there for the positive, the negative, whatever. Like, if they need my support, I'm there, but I'm not, it's not conditional.
Right.
In that sense.
Yeah.
And it just, I don't know. It seems to make sense for me. So number 8, this is more along the lines of what you were talking about. Don't say because I said so.
Yeah, that was the other one I was thinking of. Yeah, not a fan of that.
Yeah, so a situation might be that like kids are playing outside, and you say, hey, you need to come in. You need to come in, and they're like, why? Because I said so. That's the answer.
Yeah, right.
Instead, you can say, well, I know you wanted to play, but it's time for dinner.
Yeah.
And you can give them an actual answer. And if they argue, which they will every day, you can just be specific and do the same thing. You can say the same thing over again, but maybe then offer them a solution and saying, hey, like you said, I know that you wanted to play, but maybe you can play with them tomorrow.
Right.
But right now it's time for dinner. That's it. It's a matter of fact. It's not because I said so.
Yeah.
That one doesn't work.
That's such a cop out. I never liked that.
The parent just can't figure out what else to say.
Yeah, they don't know what else to do. It's like, come on, explain. Give them some explanation. I always liked explanations as a kid and as an adult. I don't want to know just because I said so. You're the authority.
Well, because what happens is, this is what happens with kids, is that kids will take whatever explanation you have and break it down and keep asking more questions.
Sure.
And so parents think that if they say, because I said so, it ends the discussion.
Right.
It sometimes does.
No, it is a discussion, but it makes them frustrated about what it is that they're not given a reason.
Right. And they may not like your reason, but either way.
Yeah.
And then the last one, number 9, what not to say. You make me so mad. So your child will frustrate you once in a while.
Right.
And instead you can say, instead of saying you make me so mad, you can say, you know what? I'm feeling really frustrated right now and I need to handle this situation better. So what you're doing is you're putting it on yourself that you're not handling this situation very well.
Right.
Instead of it's their fault.
Right.
Because we're not blaming him for them. It's how I get to choose my emotions, remember? So my child is not responsible for my emotions. I've got to practice this one, by the way. Yeah, I'm not saying I'm perfect on any of these. It's just, this is something, that happens all the time where how they're acting affects us.
Yeah.
And instead, you have to realize it's like, well, wait a second. I actually can choose not to be frustrated right now.
Right.
I can be calm. I can do that. I actually did that this morning. I was not. We were going to school. We were, a little bit late, and I was very calm. I just said, it's time to get in the car.
Yeah.
Yeah,
can't turn back time. So
no, I looked afterwards. I evaluated my performance. Yeah. And I was like, wow, I actually
were you proud of yourself?
I was.
And no one told you.
No, nobody told me. My kids did not say, hey, Dad, I was really proud of the way that you did that. But they'll know exactly what buttons to push. But you need to show them that somebody else does not determine how they feel, and we get to decide how we feel. So hopefully these are all things to grow and learn new ways of talking with your child. Alan, if people have comments, feedback, and I have a feeling they might on this
There might be a few, and I think some good and some maybe
to argue
contrary.
About it.
Sure.
What should they do?
They should write to us. Podcast at dudesanddads.com. And then please go to our social media channels and follow us there. Twitter, Dudes to Dads. Facebook, Dudes to Dads Comms. Had to think about that for a second.
I know.
iTunes, Stitcher, please go. YouTube. You got to go to YouTube. And all three of them, please subscribe to all of it. There are videos on YouTube with Dudes to Dads and Dad University. And then iTunes and Stitcher is where the podcast and where you're probably hearing this from. Please leave a 5-star review. And if not, at least a little something for us so it keeps the show going and we know that you're interested.
Absolutely. Well, Alan, as always, thank you.
Thank you.
And we will see you next week.
See you next week.